Commission meeting of December 4th, 2024. Pledge of Allegiance, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Commissioner Boza will lead us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. Our secretary isn't here today, but please remain standing for the statement of values. Can you do that? No? Thank you.
As we gather, we humbly seek blessings upon this meeting. May we act with strength, courage, and will to perform our obligations and duties to our people with justice to all. Let us seek wisdom so that we may act in the best interests of our people, our neighbors, and our country. All this we ask so we may serve our community with fairness and respect, putting their needs before all.
Thank you. You can be seated. Elizabeth, can you call the roll, please?
Sure. Commissioner Bhatnagar? Present. Commissioner Biagini?
Present.
Commissioner Chair Kuru?
Here.
Commissioner Wang?
Here.
Commissioner Buza? Present. Chair Salam?
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Crutchlow has noted that he will be joining us shortly. So I will mark him down as present right now, but note in the minutes that he did show up later. Thank you.
Okay. Get through the paperwork. Commissioner Priya, would you like to read the
Yes.
PC meeting procedures?
Thank you, Chair. Declaration of Commission procedures. Public hearings are conducted by the Chair in accordance with the following procedures. The Chair of the Commission directs all activity during the hearings. All comments shall be addressed to the Commission. Any item on this agenda may be continued to a subsequent hearing. Applicants will be allotted up to 10 minutes to present and justify proposals following staff presentation of the item. Other speakers will be given up to 2 minutes, and the applicant is allotted up to 5 minutes for rebuttal of comments. No additional comments will be accepted upon the close of public hearing, although the Commission reserves the right to direct questions to any speaker on any matter. Special procedures, time limits may be applied to any items as prescribed by the Chair. Appeal of all Commission actions must be filed in writing within 7 calendar days.
Okay, thank you. Copies of the current agenda and staff reports for each of the items on the agenda are available from the Planning Division office on the Friday afternoon preceding the meeting and available online, which takes us to continuances and exceptions. This is the part of the meeting for applicants, members of the public, or other interested parties to request an item be continued without hearing, withdrawn, or taken out of order. Is there any such request?
Thank you, Chair. We do have one item on the agenda for continuance this evening. It's an action on a variance to locate a 6-foot wrought iron fence within the 10-foot street side setback and within the 20-foot front setback for a single-family residence located at 572 Woodhams Road. The applicant has requested this be continued to January 15th, 2025. I would also like to note that we did receive one comment that was put before each of you this evening on this item.
Okay, thank you.
Do we need to take an action?
Yeah, we need to
Open
vote on
the
a
public hearing
continuance.
and then continue.
So do I have a motion to continue that item?
If you would declare the public hearing to be open, Mr. Chair, and then entertain a motion.
Oh, you're right, of course. Well, someday I might learn how to do this job. Let's open this for public hearing, and if anybody wants to speak on it now, they're welcome to, but this will be continued if the Commission believes it valuable to do so. No?
Make the motion.
So now we can entertain a motion to continue.
I move that we continue the item to date certain for January 15th, public hearing.
Seconded.
Second.
Well, Commissioner Priya and Commissioner
Yeah.
Josh.
Bhatnagar?
Bhatnagar.
Okay, the motion was made by Commissioner Chiriakouros, seconded by Commissioner Bhatnagar to approve the continuance. Please record your vote.
Have we worked together before?
Commissioner Biagini, your vote is not showing. Would you like to just,
Well, the answer is yes.
okay, very good. And the motion passed, thank you.
Did, I went that time. Okay, thank you.
Actually, we're going to be working at rocket speed.
So we should
apparently.
note that the comment that we received will be documented for the upcoming hearing as well.
Noted and included for the upcoming continuance, yeah.
Do we need to close public debate? Okay.
No, we
we
don't
don't.
close it, we continue, so that's why it'll stay open.
Public
I
presentation.
guess we're moving on to the consent calendar. Can we do
Public
so?
presentations?
Oh, did I skip something?
Oh, sorry, yes, there are no items on the consent calendar this evening.
Okay, so then we move to public presentations.
Chair, may I ask a point of order here? So there is no, there are no minutes from the last meeting that we need to approve today?
Correct. They'll come to you at the next meeting.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a small delay when the meetings get close together.
Yep.
Yeah, public presentations. Are there any members of the public that would like to briefly address the commission on any item not on the agenda? Elizabeth, did anybody register to speak?
No, we don't have any hands raised, and no one in the chambers is requesting to speak.
Okay, then we can move on. This is when we kind of need Commissioner Crutchlow.
We do, Mr. Chair. If you start the public hearing without the commissioner present, he won't be able to participate in the voting. Is there any update on his whereabouts? That sounds promising.
Should we pause the meeting?
Yeah, we could take a short recess on the hopes that he can arrive in time,
Okay.
because it's very important.
He's
that he-
here.
He's here.
Oh. Any moment.
Should all give a big round of applause. He's coming in. Using the facilities.
Do I hear a motion to have Commissioner Crutchlow find a bar of chocolate for,
He can get dinner next time and.
yeah, give us a couple more minutes again so that he can make it to his seat so we can move into this issue. Before we move on, was there any other information other than this letter sent to understand why the continuance was needed?
That letter was from a neighbor.
Yeah.
The continuance was needed from the applicant, as she stated that she was not in the country.
That would be a problem, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So show the note that Commissioner Crutchlow is here.
Yes, I
and
did. Commissioner
therefore-
Crutchlow has arrived at 6:15 PM.
My apologies.
You owe everybody a bar of chocolate. Not official, yes. Moving on to the public hearing items, let's go ahead and the public hearing item number 2 is action on conditional use permit for a new unmanned AT&T telecommunications facility with the installation It says a 60-foot tall monotree. I believe this is the alternative design.
Or both are here.
Okay. Design with 3 foot, or an alternative design with the 3 42-foot 6-inch monopoles located in the parking lot at 3111 Benton Street. So is there an updated presentation?
Yes, there is. Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. I have the updated presentation for you this evening, and as you mentioned, this is a conditional use permit. This item has been heard by the Commission 3 times thus far. You first heard this item in August of this year. There were a number of public speakers that spoke at that meeting that related concerns regarding a diesel generator and the location of what at that time was a monotree facility. After the public discussion, the applicant requested a continuance of the item to allow time to provide additional research in responding to the comments that were received during testimony. The item was then heard again at the September 11th Planning Commission meeting, where the applicant requested further continuance in order to finish addressing the comments received at the prior meeting. And then most recently on October 23rd, this item was heard. The applicant presented a monotree design and also presented a revised project that removed the diesel backup generators and replaced it with a backup battery. The commission did deliberate on the monotree design, and as a result of that deliberation, asked the applicant to come back and present an alternative 3-light monopole design to the commission, which is what we have for you this evening. And a little more background, this application was submitted in March of 2023 by Complete Wireless Consulting. Conditional use permits are required for all new wireless telecommunication facilities per Chapter 18.66 of the new zoning code. There is an existing cell site located on the roof of the church that's located on the site. However, AT&T was unable to co-locate their facility on top of the roof as the roof was not structurally able to handle additional wireless facilities. As a reminder, the site is located at 3111 Benton Street. It is located on the north side of Benton Street. It's approximately 3.15 acre site. It has a general plan and zoning designation of public, quasi-public, and there is an existing church, 2 parking lots, and an existing cell site on the subject site. This site is bordered by single-family detached residences to the north and Santa Clara High School to the south across Benton Street. So this is the revised 3-light monopole site plan. The new design would place 3 light monopoles in the parking lot to the right, adjacent to at the corner of Moraga and Benton Street. The lease area would be around each pole, about 80 square feet each. The equipment lease area would remain the same as it was for the mono tree design and is about 366 square feet and be located behind the church at the rear property line, approximately 15 feet from that rear property line. The 3-light monopoles located in the parking lot will be set back 49 to 51 feet from the single-family residences to the north, and then from the front property line at Benton, 40 to 42 feet. Each pole will be 42 feet 6 inches in height, and the poles would be painted black. And here are the photo simulations of the poles. This is looking on Benton Street. In both pictures, it's kind of, hopefully you can see that. It's kind of hard to see. I do believe the applicant has better pictures than these ones for you. And then these pictures are on the left from Humboldt, from the single-family neighborhood, the existing on the top, proposed on the bottom, and then on the right would be coming down Benton Street. And then just as a reminder, this is the mono tree site plan. The mono tree is located in the left rear of the property. It had a lease area of 511 square feet surrounded by a 6-foot tall wooden fence, and the equipment lease area would be the same. The mono tree was set back about 37 feet from the property line to the pole and then 22 feet to the branches. The height of the mono tree was 60 feet. And the base of the monotree would be painted brown to match a tree trunk. And these are the photo sims, again, from the monotree. These are from the adjacent neighborhood off of Humboldt. And then on Benton Street. We did receive 14 public comments from neighbors, including one letter signed by 28 neighbors opposing the project. 2 of these comments were received since the October Planning Commission meeting. Concerns still included negative health effects, the location and visibility from residences, the negative effect on property values, adjacency to the historic Pomeroy Green townhomes, and fire risk. And it's important to note that pertaining to safety concerns, that local governments, including Santa Clara, are preempted from regulating wireless telecommunication facilities. Whoa. Based on concerns regarding the health effects of radio frequency emissions. The staff recommendation is to determine that the project is categorically exempt from environmental review per section 15303D, new construction of utility extensions of the CEQA guidelines, and adopt a resolution to approve the conditional use permit to allow a new telecommunication facility for the monotree design at 3111 Benton Street. Planning staff continues to recommend approval of the monotree as staff feels that this design is more in keeping with the goals of the general plan and the zoning code in that it blends in with the existing surrounding trees, and there's less of a visual impact to the surrounding area as opposed to the 3 light poles in the parking lot. And with this, that concludes staff report.
Okay, then I guess we can move on to the applicant's presentation.
I have a question for staff.
Sure, go ahead, thank you.
In the report, and thank you for clarifying because I did feel, so in your report, and I just want to make sure for the record that we have this straight because this goes to City Council, the paragraph on page 205 in your attachment, in your report says, this project was heard by the Planning Commission at their hearing on August 21st, where staff provided presentation, and it says there were 3 public speakers that spoke in opposition. I just want to make sure we reflect correctly that it was the 14.
14 comments were received, written comments, apologies. 14 written comments were received.
Okay.
Yeah, my
So
apologies.
Yeah,
Yes.
because it gives a little bit of a perception. There were only 3 people who gave any level of information, but
You are correct,
the
yes.
community is still out here for all 3 meetings plus. So I just want to make sure that the recognition of why we have deliberated so many times on this project is reflected accurately when it goes, if it doesn't get its final approval today, that City Council has the appropriate level of awareness on the interest from public on this. So I just wanted to get that correction out.
Thank you.
And a quick question through the chair on the project itself. Tell me more why staff is continuing to recommend that the monotree is much more aesthetically preferable than the 3 poles.
In staff's view, it is less visually intrusive than 3 poles along on Benton Street. So the monotree would be to the rear of the site within a grove of existing trees. It naturally blends in better than 3 poles along Benton Street in a flat parking lot with no landscaping.
And the perspective of the city staff recommendation in that vein is because people are just driving by it versus people are living next to it. So a little bit of visual perspective is when you're driving, you don't see a big monotree. You see these poles, like utility poles, but that is still visually intrusive for the drivers?
For the drivers, for pedestrians, for neighbors. Additionally, that parking lot does back up to a number of single-family residences.
Okay.
And there is no landscaping in that parking lot. The poles are 42 feet high, so that did come into consideration as well, that the monotree would still be visually screened better than the 3 tall poles.
And that could be easily fixed by adding trees.
Possibly, yes. I think they would lose parking in order to do that, though. It's a very
Okay.
tight parking lot.
Got it, understood. I just wanted to get the perspective of why staff
Yeah.
continues to feel the monotree was still a better visually aesthetic versus 3 utility pole. Thank you.
Question. How tall is a light pole?
The light poles are currently 27 feet.
Okay.
There's 2 light poles currently in the parking lot, so this would take the 2 light poles out and replace it with 3.
And would the light poles go with this?
There would still be light poles, yes, on the mono poles. There would still be lights, yes.
So it would be basically a light plus?
Plus, yes.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
Dual.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll have the extension
Yeah.
and then,
Yeah.
Yeah, and the applicant's presentation has better images of that than
Got it.
than mine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you so much.
question?
Any other questions?
Yeah. So when staff consider the design, I think the church, they have a landscape in front. Why the mono tree cannot be relocated to the front? Actually, last meeting, AT&T, they have a reference at another site. I cannot remember the name. I think that's a very good design. That's perfect. You know, it's close to the street. It's,
Yeah.
in the front of the church, and not close to the neighbors. So why staff cannot consider move the mono tree to, in my sense, just better location?
Yeah, the applicant can speak to that. I know the property owner was not interested in the mono tree being in that location. So our response is into the project that was proposed.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, please, applicant.
PowerPoint. Is that better? Okay. I do have a PowerPoint that I believe will come up in just a moment. Go ahead and let's go to the next slide. We'll start right in. It's not lit up or anything. No. Nope. Sorry. I don't believe it's turned on. What? Oh, now I'm going. Let me find the way. Oh. How do I go? Oh, backwards. There we go. Okay. There you go. All right. Hello again. All right. So yes, my name is Steve Pro. I'm here with Complete Wireless, representing AT&T on behalf of this project. I am back here today to showcase the light pole design. As Leslie mentioned, this project entails removing 2 existing light pole fixtures located at the east end of the church's parking lot and replacing them with 3 new light pole fixtures equipped with AT&T antennas and equipment situated above the lights. The total new height will be 42 feet and 6 inches. Each pole will be distanced 84 feet and 2 inches from each other. This redesign is situated 515 feet away from the monopole that was proposed in October and before. Notably, this facility also does not include an emergency standby generator, so we did continue to leave that out. And the 2 battery cabinets will be there in its replacement there. There is an existing abandoned lease area of 20 by 20 feet that is going to hold the equipment in. So there's no new ad land happening here. So it's least intrusive. There we go. And then here I have 4 simulations of what the design will look like because it is situated at the parking lot. Our PhotoSims vendor just did them differently for the best views here. This first simulation is from Benton Avenue, looking west, approximately 200 feet from the site. This simulation is also from Benton Avenue, looking at the facility across the street, approximately 130 feet away from the facility. So you can see the light fixtures right there. Above that is the surge, the radio surge, and then the antennas on top. This third simulation is further down on Benton Avenue, looking east at the facility, approximately 260 feet away. And this last simulation was taken from Humboldt Avenue, looking south towards the church, approximately 220 feet away from the facility. AT&T does seek to improve wireless communications in this area of Santa Clara. We are here today because this area of the city does suffer from poor wireless coverage levels between El Camino and Homestead. The proposed facility will improve wireless coverage as well as provide all users with cell phone access to dial emergency services. In addition to coverage, this site also helps offload capacity issues from the neighboring AT&T sites. This picture showcases what the current coverage levels are at. And this picture showcases what the site will look like once it's activated. I apologize for the typo at the top left. This is once the site is activated, the difference. So let me kind of go back so you can see it. So there's a vast improvement there of coverage levels. Please notice that much of the blue portion that represents poor coverage has been replaced by yellow and green that indicates reliable indoor and vehicle coverage. This project adheres to the Santa Clara noise guidelines. We have engaged Bowler acoustical consultants who have verified that the noise from the AT&T equipment is within the permissible decibel range of 50 and 55 decibels established by Santa Clara. In fact, the decibel level from the closest residence will be 47 and 49 decibels, which is comparable to a quiet conversation or a floor fan. This project also does comply with FCC guidelines with radio frequency. We've hired a third-party engineering firm to run a cumulative report for all frequency studies, including what's located on the current of the roof, so all facilities, all other carriers, excuse me. And they confirmed that the maximum exposure to the nearest location of the facility and pole is less than the FCC public limit at 36.24%. And lastly, this facility is compliant with the rules and regulations of Santa Clara. As a quick reminder, in 2021, this project was presented to the Planning Department as a rooftop facility, but due to structural limitations, we couldn't add any more equipment to the roof. The project was then relocated to 830 Kiley Boulevard, but the landlord backed out of negotiations. And so we went back to the drawing board and came up with this new design here in the parking lot. However, Santa Clara County Planning did mention that they wanted to see a singular structure, which is why we brought the broadleaf to that. This revised design has been talked about by some of the public before who mentioned they wanted to see it located away from their homes and more into the parking lot. So that, is a good thing. And to Commissioner, to answer your question there, yes, it was landlord. The reason why the tree's not placed in front of the church is landlord preference. They don't want it there. And two, it would be extremely tight setbacks. I'm not even sure the setbacks would be made if we could put it in front of the church because it's just not that wide. As you can see, it's kind of slanted in that area. And so for that, I do ask for your approval for this 3-light facility and happy to answer any questions.
Okay, commissioners, questions? Go ahead.
I have a question.
Well,
Nobody else.
there's two of you, and I looked that way first, so go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, actually, yeah. Last time, yeah, I visited both sides. That's why I mentioned multiple times. The other side looks really good. It's. Do you have a chance to show the landlord the other side? Let them see. Yeah, that mono tree is really good. I think it's a good thing for the church, right? You have something, in the front instead of just almost empty there. So, but anyway, yeah.
We have spoken to the landlord numerous times, especially after our last hearing, and he has made it extremely clear that locating at the front of the church is not preferred.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Bria?
Could you go back to the photo simulation 2 slide? I want to just get a visual or accurate perception of the light pole height to the AT&T. in that picture, it looks almost similar in height to the light pole. I see the two smaller lights that are exclusively for the parking lot, but to the city light that's in front, the white city light. Okay. We all tracking to the city light? It looks similar in height to that. Or is that visually not correct?
I would imagine perception is off a little bit, being that the city light is closer. So that gives a little bit. It is 27 feet in the church's parking lot for where at the height is.
Okay.
So this is an additional 15 feet
Okay.
of what we're adding.
And what's the height of the actual DAS equipment or the
At the top of the antennas is
42?
Yes.
But what's the depth below?
So in between there, there is, for you.
Some feet.
Because I'm assuming you need that height for the actual coverage,
Correct.
for the picking up. Okay.
As you may remember from my previous, I showed you different locations. All those heights were at 50 feet above
Okay.
on there. But the difference height there, let's see. So 27.4 inches is the height of the light there, and then the center line of the surge. So the first equipment that you see is at 33 feet.
Okay. Okay. And then the equipment sits on the cap sits on top. Okay.
Yeah, and you can see that in the elevation drawings. It's page A31.
Okay. And where else in other locations have you done this?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me go further here. So, sorry, just learning this.
No, go back.
So here, I'm going to give you two maps here. Here's the overall map. Last time I was here, I showed the blue pins are the current locations that we have. The red circle is the prime area that a facility should be placed to provide optimum coverage here. And the red dots there are the site locations that we attempted to go to.
No, I'm not asking, sorry. I know you've explored those sites. I'm asking where else have you done that light fixture style in other cities?
Oh, yeah, I know that other carriers have done that. I've seen that before. It's also really popular on like stadium lights. And again, with Santa Clara High School being across the street, we did go to them and, with the proposed, because it would be ideal to go on top of their field and put lights on top of it. But Santa Clara Unified doesn't allow any wireless.
The question was where the location. Tell me where that same proposal that you're bringing, where has it been done by AT&T in close by relationship to us, so we can see?
I see.
Has it
I don't
Sunnyvale,
have that
Cupertino, San Jose,
Yeah.
where?
Have you done this kind of a design, or other cities have looked at this as?
I know it has been done before, but I don't have the exact location to
Okay.
provide to you today.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I've seen them in San Jose.
That's what I was asking. Like, I'm trying to get more from a public record perspective that other
They
cities
stand
have.
out. You will notice them.
Okay, okay,
Right. And again, these were the alternate locations that we went to here.
got it.
And that didn't work here. This is also, we could
looks
put
monstrous.
a random over the antennas to
No.
make it look less bulky. The coloring itself, I do admit, is a little dark, so that could definitely be changed to anything the city that Santa Clara would like it to be changed to. We're open to that. And then again, that was a design of the broadleaf tree.
Got it.
Sure.
Okay, Commissioner Crutchlow.
Let's go techie a little bit. On the three-pole design versus the single pole, you showed the coverage map, but you only showed one coverage map. Is it exactly the same for either one?
No, it's actually a little bit smaller because of the height difference. So again, we're at 47 feet, and the other was a 60-foot.
Right, so let's just be clear, the three-pole one at the shorter elevation has less output.
Slightly less.
Less. Is it significant at all, or?
No, it's not. And that's why AT&T is still pursuing this, because they do feel that this is a viable candidate and design to significantly improve the coverage gap.
You say it's like 5%, 2%?
Something like that, yes.
Okay.
It would.
Thank
Okay, well, I have a couple questions. Did you get agreement from the church to use the three-pole design? You said that was a concern last time?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And then second, as I understand, the shorter height eliminates pretty much all of the concerns around collapse issues, both into the main Benton Street area and also into neighborhood homes, correct?
Correct. It wouldn't reach any parcel.
It couldn't possibly, it's trigonometry. So that really does solve a couple of other concerns. So it's encouraging.
Yeah, something.
All right, go ahead, Commissioner.
One of my concerns, it looks like a giant air raid warning light, warning siren. But my concern is the church doesn't want it in front of their building, but they were willing to put it in the back close to the residential homes. The church is the one that is going to get benefits from having that tower there. They're going to get funds from having that in their property. I just still don't get it why, it doesn't look that bad if you would have put it in front of the church. It's other locations, it's other churches that has it in Warburton, it's almost right in front of their church. I just don't, that's the part that just is hard for me to conceive why they're not willing to do that.
And I can
But they can
understand
put
that,
it in their, close to those, the
As
residents.
Leslie mentioned, the location of the monotree was aesthetically, it blended in very well. It did not remove any parking spaces. The church does have 2 parking lots, but, the one on the other side where the tree is, it would be very, it's less parking spaces, so we didn't want to take up any spaces. So that's my answer to your state there. It really is, it blended in well.
Yeah.
Just as a guidance, we might want to avoid dwelling and diving deeper on options that are eliminated through the decisions of the church itself. So having that 60-foot tree in the front is apparently completely not an option.
Correct.
So,
And Commissioner Crutchlow, this is the map of the 60-foot. I didn't realize I had it in my chain. So it is a little bit bigger. There's there, and then going back to, there we go.
that's significant. All right. Were there other questions before we open to public conversation?
Thank you for doing all this.
So I'd like to open this up to public input. And one of the things I checked with Xander on beforehand is to remind people what was also in the slide there. We appreciate that there are concerns around the health issues. These are not something we, as a body, a legal body, can act upon. They can be concerns, but we can't make them part of our decision. So if you want to focus your comments on the things we can do, that would give you more opportunity to convey your feelings. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Go ahead. Elizabeth, can you call up the people?
Sure, we have a couple people who have filled out cards. Lee Benton, Nicholas Rossi, Alexandra, Ken Kratz, Yang Li Wen, and Dino Plancherto. If I said it wrong, I apologize.
About the only thing I got to say, it sure looks ugly for our neighborhood. I got a couple bucks into my house, and I sure hate to live next door to that across the street, plus the school being right there. About all I got to say is how commercialized it looked, and I sure wish they could figure out another place to put it where it wouldn't be so protrusive. Back to this gentleman's question here, the church doesn't want to be inconvenienced. They want the money, they just don't want the looks in front of the church. You can blame that, so they shove it off to the back. You all do what you want. If you want our city to look commercialized like this, vote on it.
Good evening. My name is Nicholas Rossi. I'm a resident of Pomeroy Green. And to the commissioners of City of Santa Clara and the residents, I note that we sent in a few letters to this matter, letter of October 22nd, November 14th, and November 15th. As we stated in our letters, the proposed site at the First Baptist Church, I think, creates an unacceptable risk to homeowners who will have to live so close to the proposed mono tree. In addition to creating aesthetic problems, as my neighbors have indicated, and also the issue of devaluation of the property. As you know, we are not only listed our opposition to the proposed site of the Baptist Church and the reasons why it is not a good location, but we did our due diligence and listed some alternative sites, as you may have seen, that are not too close to houses. One of them is Santa Clara City Central Park, especially near the baseball field. Stratford School, 890 Pomeroy Avenue, especially in the rear and near the Stratford School parking lot. And if you don't like those sites, there is Earl Carmichael Park. In the rear of the park, Homesteaders 4-H Ranch, and a parking lot near 3450 Brookdale Drive, as well as others listed in our letter. And thank you for our attention.
Thank you.
Before we proceed, maybe staff can comment. Was there investigation as to locating these facilities within a park, or is that something that the city can or can't do?
That's something I'm not aware of.
If I recall, the applicant at a prior meeting had said he had reached out to the city's Parks Department and had not received either a positive response or any response.
Yeah, that's always, I hope that we have more responsiveness. But let me check with the applicant. Is that confirmed? Is that answer correct? That, yeah, that we could not. Okay, just go ahead up to the mic and tell us that we can't do it.
That is correct. We did go to Central Park. That was in our search ring, and after multiple reaching out and attempts, we got no response back. Correct. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So that hopefully can enlighten the residents as to why some of these options have dead-ended. I would be concerned for the city staff responsiveness, but this issue is still before us. Next person, please.
Yeah, good evening, commissioners. Right off the top of my head, please check with the Parks Department, because I was going to mention that too. Let's get it in the park. That's where it belongs, with the other trees. My name is Ken Kratz, and I live in Pomeroy Green. The housing complex located west of the church site, where two proposals for the AT&T project are proposed. Please do not approve the proposals. They are not compatible with the immediate neighborhood, its homes, and school and church. The project will be ugly in the proposed locations. Please consider alternative locations in the neighborhood that my neighbors and I have proposed that are compatible and will provide the signal coverage desired by AT&T. I'm willing to meet with AT&T representatives to show alternative locations. The first proposal, a 60-foot tower planned for the back corner of the church lot, is not compatible with the surrounding homes. To the north side are single-family homes, and those residents will be looking at this ugly tower from their backyards. To the west is Pomeroy Green Cooperative, a housing complex that is registered in the National Register of Historic Places that did not receive notice of this project. The 60-foot tower will be an eyesore from many vantage points within the complex, impacting the historic resource. This AT&T project should be submitted to the Historical and Landmarks Commission for approval, since Pomeroy Green is adjacent to the church property. The second proposal to construct three 40-foot towers in the east parking lot is also not compatible. They will be an eyesore for the duplexes across the street and the homes on Humboldt, as well as symbolically dominate the church sense of place. The alternatives my neighbors and I have suggested in correspondence with the commission are more compatible for the following reasons, and most fit in the zone AT&T showed tonight. Not next to homes, but rather located in or near city parks, schools, and in the back or on the side of churches where the trees are located. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm here representing my mother, Retha Rossi, who is a resident of Pomeroy Green. To you commissioners of the City of Santa Clara, I want to express our opposition, no, to the proposal to place the 60-foot tall AT&T mono-tree tower at the Baptist Church on Benton Street or anywhere on that site. In our letter to you on November 14th, written by Nicholas and Retha Rossi, we presented a list of a total of 12 alternative locations for consideration. We did our due diligence going out to the site of each location. Among the best of them are Central Park, 909 Kiley Boulevard, especially near the baseball field and Curtis Field, and near the Stratford School parking lot on Pomeroy Avenue. To find out more about the others, please read the letter. The tower must not be installed so close to a residential area due to the danger that it's a health hazard, and the residents of the houses will be radiated 24 hours a day for 7 days a week. And there'll be serious aesthetic problems, collapsing hazard, and a devaluation of the property. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
It might be helpful to remember that we are not considering in this session the monotree, okay? We are only, at least I believe that we are only considering the three-tower solution.
I think it's both.
I know it says or, but
Yes.
I think we sent them away to come back with the three-tower solution so we would have an option to focus on.
It's an option, yeah.
I recall that being your direction, Mr. Chair. I will just say, just to give you all the options, we left both options on the agenda.
understand.
So you have
Thank you.
resolutions for both.
Okay, please, next.
Good evening. I think, yeah, we already expressed our concern. Home value has impact. I think everyone expressed this very clearly. But I want to emphasize the already filed station on the roof of the main building of the church. Not from AT&T, from Verizon, from T-Mobile, all this there. I don't know if this kind of radiation data is included, the radiation from the Verizon and the T-Mobile. I don't know. This is a big concern. I know there's some kind of data from AT&T, but I never seen any, calculation added together. So, to me, somehow, this church becomes kind of a cell phone tower park, right? It's very ugly. This is a church, right? It becomes a cell phone park. So, even on the station on the roof, I think they installed it sometime on 2021 or 2022 sometime. No, these guys busy with something, I don't know what they are doing. Later on, maybe sometimes last year, someone told me, this is the wireless station. Last year, I just know. No one notified us during 2021, 2022. But now, there's another one. You added it together, I don't know. You want to change this church to some kind of cell phone tower park? To me, I don't feel comfortable.
Thank you. We do have a
any other
card from
speakers?
Dino. Is Dino here? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dino Blancarte, and I live directly behind those 3 poles on 3120 Humboldt Avenue. I have 3 kids. I raised another 4 nephews and nieces, all gone to Santa Clara High School. I'm very active in the community in basketball programs. Over 500 families are in our programs. And this is worrisome. I'm sorry I'm late in the game. I just found out about this project last week. So I'm here to make my opinion heard. You may have already made a decision on this. I know you said we're not considering financial aspects of it, but from a health perspective, I have 3 kiddos, ages 9, 12, and 15. They're out in that backyard all the time because they're good neighbors. Not only does it not look good, but I am worried about the health concerns. I know the financial report says that there's no impact, but I know that that may be otherwise. I'm not putting anything negative towards the church, negative towards AT&T to impact their livelihood or their financial resources. This seems unfair to me as a parent, as a city resident of over 20 years. So they're trying other locations and it hasn't been successful. Maybe they're not giving enough financial incentive for that to happen in an area where its health concerns are less, and specifically not impacting my home and the neighbors around there. I looked at that picture. That's directly my backyard, looking into those 3, towers that they want to put in there. So I'm going to be impacted 24/7, 365 days a year for as long as I live there, and I don't plan on going anywhere. I love Santa Clara. I'm for all of technology. I always vote for our schools to help our city, but this hits too close to home, and I'm completely against it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone on the phone?
Yes, we do have a hand raised. Let's see.
Diane, you should be able to unmute and speak.
Okay. Hi, Planning Commission. This is Diane Harrison. I live in Pomeroy Green, historic complex. I did also, my letter is also in your packet. All of us in our neighborhood continue to be concerned about the location, as you can see, of the cell tower. I mean, the parking lot may be a little bit further from our complex, but it's closer to some of the Humboldt people, as the fellow just said. So please consider the alternative locations suggested by Ken Kratz and Nick Rossi. Those other locations don't directly overlook residences, and I think maybe, as others have pointed out, if you maybe a little more outreach. It shouldn't be that hard to reach these folks. They're there. And if you're offering money to the church, you can offer the same money to them and maybe they'll be interested. So yeah, those are my concerns. And so you please, definitely not the mono tree, and I'm not crazy about those 3 things either. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So if there's no other public, then,
We do have another speaker.
all right, go ahead.
Vignesh, you should be able to unmute and speak.
Hey, I'm Vignesh. I live in Humboldt. I'd like to understand why the impact of property value is not being considered in today's meeting. And it's also surprising that most of us in our community came to know about this only in the last few weeks. I think we need to do a better job of letting people know. And already we sent a letter with 28 people signed. So there are a lot of residents who are not speaking here who are against this and who have signed the letter. I'd like to express my displeasure about both the proposals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
We do not have any other hands raised online or in the council chambers.
Okay, do we allow the rebuttal before, or, okay, yes. Can we have the rebuttal if there's any? Maybe you could go ahead and cover again the EMF issues. Thank you.
Can I get the PowerPoint back onto you, Leslie? Let me start off by explaining how AT&T goes about finding locations and alternative locations. So AT&T begins its process by identifying a search area and a required centerline height. AT&T then looks at local codes, general plans, to identify the value significant to the local community for the siting or location of wireless facilities. In addition to the above-mentioned location and height attributes, each proposed site must meet a certain minimum requirements, such as a willing landlord, feasible construction, road access, available telephone and electrical utilities, satisfaction coverage objectives, and compliance with city local zoning laws. So with that being said, this project began in 2021, really 2020, when it came to AT&T with complete wireless. So we spent some time looking for locations here. In my alternative analysis that I provided, we did showcase, the sites here. Just past it. We did showcase these sites, as I mentioned earlier. Unfortunately, the park system did not, get back to us. I can't do anything about that, after numerous attempts here. To mention some other items that the public mentioned, home value. In my last hearing here, I had David Wiskowski, who from Joint Venture Real Estate, who mentioned that there's no significant impact between cell phone sites and homes. And in fact, most millennials do prefer to have cell phone service being in the world that we live in today. And other items here, again, these are the other locations that are in the area. The 2336 El Camino, that 57-foot monopole, that didn't begin as 57 feet, in my opinion, being in this job as long as I have been. I think that got extended, and that's the way that it looks. To be honest, that's not the nicest looking thing, Sometimes aesthetics, doesn't always happen. The Walgreens, that's a 50-foot rooftop. Those are popsicle sticks there. And then Kaiser, probably the best screened option because it's the tallest building in the area. Nothing is that tall, and of course we need height to give everybody service here. Let's see. AT&T is the last carrier that exists in our nation here to be at this location. And I could just imagine whoever got there first did their due diligence as well and went to these places, and that's how they landed at the church itself. Let's see. As you mentioned earlier, we don't need to worry about anything collapsing. That was a concern from Mr. Lee, I believe, before on there. And while he may not agree with the aesthetics of it, he did mention earlier before the meeting that he was happy it's not near his backyard. Of course, we're located here. There's homes everywhere in Santa Clara County. It's nearly impossible to not have a home near it on there. The radio frequency is below the FCC limit. In fact, this is a lower radio frequency than the mono tree that was proposed. So with the neighbor, with Dino living where he does, it's going to be less because it's further away on there. And again, there's no serious health impacts here that anything's been discovered. So thank you for your time.
May I ask
Thank
a
you.
question?
Okay, before you disappear, go ahead. Let's start at the end and work our way across.
Okay. Yeah. So, you just saw Central Park. That's one of the potential.
I'm sorry. One more time.
Central Park on the.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we have more options now. I mean, I think probably that's the best location, right? Mono tree, the tree is there. So right now the problem is just no response from the city, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
The city, after numerous calls and letters, they have not gotten back to us.
So
now, I don't know how the Parks and Recreation Department works, but I imagine it's just like everybody else here. They do their job and they do the best to do the best for the city.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But with all due respect,
yeah.
I like to remind the commissioners and the public to respect the process. You know, we've been here numerous times here. We've listened to the public. You know, I don't even know if a continuation is needed, what's to continue, you know? So,
Yeah.
you know, I understand that some people may not be happy, but there is a legal process here. And if this does get approved, which I am asking for, because I felt that we have provided our due diligence and information to the commissioners and to the public, that the public is more than welcome to appeal this decision. And then we'll go through that process if needed.
Yeah, fully understand. Actually, tonight, I just realized that Central Park is another potential location. I don't know, as a commission, we have any way to communicate with the city park department? Or maybe I can personally
Let's
contact.
ask one other question first. You've been extremely patient, and I agree. And our residents have been very good about being patient as well, and they also are very adamant about what they want. So let me just continue your thought, if I may.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that if we could expedite getting to the city parks and talking about it, would you be willing to consider that, potentially?
Thank you.
I know you've been very patient. We've gone a lot through like continuances, but if we could do it, and I would think that a bunch of our residents would be more than happy to go knocking on the Park and Recreation's door for you, including myself. Would you be willing to consider that? And this is all just a possibility because I'm just asking questions.
Yes, absolutely. Fair enough, and thank you for saying it that way. Absolutely. AT&T is willing to work with, you know, the jurisdictions here. I will have, of course, need to go. Knowing that it's already in our search ring, I don't see why it won't work in the future. So I'll go to my radio frequency engineers, be like, what's the height we're looking for? What do these coverage maps look like? And yes.
And you could probably put it even higher.
Yeah.
Which is better. Now, with that being said, again, if we work together on that, you're willing to look at that option, right?
Yes, we're willing to look at that option. But one thing to mention is that Central Park is very populated. There's a lot of community centers there. There's a lot of activities there.
I don't
and I would
disagree.
imagine more opposition than here that I'm getting today at my fourth hearing.
I think that give us an opportunity to do this at least.
Okay.
Because at that point, I think if we exhaust that one, then personally what I would say is, okay, we've exhausted everything, then we got to give it to you one way or the other. Either you take it at the church the way you want it, or we do it at Central Park. But I feel that as a city, we're failing to do our part. If Parks and Recreation hasn't gotten back to you, I'm really mad. And I really, you know, and again, I know they're probably doing a good job. They're trying to do what they can with what they've got, and I don't know the reason why.
Right.
But I'm just mad at us, and I include myself in that. Okay. So if we can do that, staff, if I may expect.
I just want a real quick
What can we
question.
do to potentially get that
Done.
happening?
Okay. Before,
I could email park staff and ask them what the process is or who.
And if you
who
could ask
one
why
would
they
speak
don't
with.
allow it to, there's no other facilities at parks. So.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a
City-
policy against it. I actually don't
there
know.
you go. That's what I want. Before anybody kept on talking, I want to ask the person sitting right next to you there, our city attorney. They have to have access 24/7 to that property and do whatever it needs to be done. We could be having functions in there, and they need to have access at the same time. That's what may be the reason that the city doesn't want to have that done in there, because being a public park, you're going to have residents there all the time. So that looks like it's going to be one of the problems. Thinking about that, so isn't that one of the things is to lease? Because actually what we're doing is leasing a piece of the park to AT&T. And I think that's going to be a bigger problem than anything else.
But if that's the case, then let's find out.
Let's find out, exactly.
Let's find out.
He's going to be able to tell us.
Before we get a little rambunctious about how we're going to do this, the question is an email the only approach to contacting somebody within Parks and Recreation to get an answer.
Really?
Or is somebody able to go and
Go
knock on a door?
Yeah, we got people out here that are
we
probably
will
willing too. You'd be better if you do it nicely, and I'll be happy to walk over there with you.
Yes,
form a
they do
committee
have
and-
offices here.
I'd be
We will
happy
do
to
our
lead the
best.
train over there. I've been there, done
We will
that.
do our best to make sure we speak to them, but I will say Commissioner Bouza has identified a significant problem with this proposal. Not only will the Parks Department be unlikely to want to cede a portion of its park to give an easement, but more significantly, we also have a charter provision that says before you can make any part of a park not a park, you have to submit it to the voters. So I guess the question is, we need to talk to parks geometrically. Is there a spot on the back of the park or something where they can access it just from the road without having to go into the park? Maybe geometrically that exists. I don't have those answers, but I will say Commissioner Bouza has identified a significant hiccup.
Okay, yeah.
So for the residents and our applicant, the city is quite a mesh of issues and threads of communication that we have to navigate. We could be very much advocates for this process, and we could suggest that the park be considered, but we have no authority to demand it. We only have the authority to suggest it. This is a commission of recommendation, okay? So I would leave it up to the applicant to see if they are interested in a shorter continuance to give the opportunity to staff to hand carry you directly to Parks and Rec and get some attention on this. And that, I think, would satisfy a tremendous number of people within the legal limits that our attorney has described. And
When is the next, is there another public hearing in December, or is it pushed into January?
January 15th is our next hearing.
Which
Okay.
is
And that's
coincidentally
also the same day that our tolling agreement.
expires.
So we
So
will, and I'm sure there's no problem extending that, in the meantime, to allow, that time frame there. But just, I wanted that to be noted.
Tell him I want it.
But yes, to answer your question, Chairman, I absolutely will take another continuation.
Okay, that's just a question. It's not a, it just hasn't happened yet, all right? Commissioner Biagini.
Thank you, Eric, because as you were talking, that was going to be what I said next. I understand the concern about the monotree. I can't agree with the city that that's a better idea than the 3 poles. I would tend to think the 3 poles are better. But I also understand from the residents' point of view. To Commissioner Bouza's comments, I absolutely agree that that's probably something that we're going to run into. However, the inability for Parks and Rec to even respond is inexcusable to me, quite frankly. And if it's just emails, I mean, I'm annoyed as all get out. I'll go knock on the door. I'll go knock on their home door. Believe me, I know how to do that. In my previous life, I know how to do that kind of stuff. But I think what it comes down to is, if it's between the monotree and the 3 light poles, at this point, I think the 3 light poles is less egregious, number one. Number two, I don't feel, by lack of response from the park department, even though we can all guess what they're going to say, they didn't respond. That has not been, that we don't know because we don't have an answer to that. One question I do have for you is a number of alternate locations were brought up, and I know that like 909 Kelly, somebody brought that one up. I think that's part of the Central Park. So have all of the alternate locations that the residents have brought up prior to tonight been looked at? That's a pretty simple question. I'm guessing they have, but I don't know unless I ask.
So the alternative sites that we have brought were Santa Clara High School, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah.
I believe both of those were on their list.
I just want to make sure
Central
none were
Park,
missed.
The shopping center at 830 Kiley.
Okay.
2898 Homestead Boulevard as a rooftop co-location, that fell through. And the behind 830 Kiley Boulevard, the city manager showed no interest. And that's a PG&E substation. That's ideal.
understand
all
that-
due respect.
Did he not respond to you, or did he, what are you,
The lack
define
of
what that means?
response is inexcusable.
Defined
That he actually did communicate with you, or
I
did
was
not?
told that they showed no interest. I don't know any more depth of that. But
So
from
that
my
they-
leaser,
you did not have direct communication where they said no?
I personally did not have direct communication. I have a leasing department who goes out and finds the parcels and the lands, and that's the communication that I received. So I feel very accurate that they wouldn't lie to me.
Let me be very clear about where I'm at. I want to, one, ensure that all the alternate locations have been looked at, and it sounds as if they have. Number two, the fact that, well, maybe there's one that hasn't. Okay. Anyway, the fact that
Stratford.
some, I'm going to think of Central Park as one big hole, right? That the reason they're not being considered is because of a lack of response is what I find to be inexcusable. I'm not blaming you. I'm not, they certainly did their due diligence. But until that issue is resolved, I hate to put everybody on notice for another continuance, but I feel like it hasn't been resolved. We haven't addressed all the potentials, and instead we're asking for something that is not meeting what the residents are looking for. I think, there's a sense of the 3 poles instead of the monitoring. It's not what the city looks. Stop all of this. Let's just get the parks to talk. And let's make sure we cover that last base before we have to talk about alternatives that we're never going to please everybody. By the way, I know how AT&T works. They're not the quickest on the draw, okay?
Well, we've been involved since 2020, so I don't see us going anywhere with this.
If AT&T's listening, they can call me and we'll have a conversation, okay? But in any event, it's like, I think what we have to do is make sure every stone is turned over and looked at, and it just feels to me like the Central Park issue, there may be a spot. It's going to be difficult to find, but there might be one that has access that doesn't impede upon any facilities going on. So I want to see that resolved before I take a vote on a Monotree versus 3.
One place really quick here. Okay, there's already one of those cell phone towers in one of the fire stations on Bowers. Have you tried to to go through the fire station on Benton?
Yes, so the fire station on Benton, we did review that parcel. It is a very small parcel. There's nothing to co-locate on, so it's going to be intrusive here. There is no rooftop space because they have a slanted roof and then a space with a tree and another slanted roof. That's very common here in Santa Clara, I noticed. So rooftop space is an option. There's also no space behind the fire station for a 20 by 20 or a 30 by 30 lease area for a new tower and for equipment. In addition, right behind that fire station are homes. So I'm back in the same
It's a park. It's a park right behind the fire station. It's a park.
to the side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but behind it,
Yeah, behind that.
yeah, there's a canal,
Yeah.
and then there's homes. So
I know it's tempting and there's a lot of energy, but let's keep it.
yeah,
Let's
and
keep it
again,
simple.
that red circle there is the area that we need to be in,
Okay.
not outside. We're just barely outside of it there. And as I mentioned earlier, we're not the first carrier here. All the other carriers that exist in this nation are at this property. So I believe they also did their due diligence, and they, came to this resolution here, all before Santa Clara.
Chair,
Yes,
may I
go ahead.
ask a question? So it's interesting to observe that AT&T and yourselves, you feel that you're servicing a need because the coverage is poor and you will have much better coverage in this area. I have not heard a single resident come and say, that's what I need, I will support this project. Why is that?
Well, I think it just goes down to basic, human interaction. It's like the customer service theory. You hear one person complain, 10 more people are going to hear about the complaints, but you do something good, they don't really talk about it. So I think it has something to do with that, Of course, anything that is, worth talking about is going to spread faster and wider and quicker than anything could, unfortunately.
So if I put myself in your shoes, I look at 4 years of effort. 4 years of effort, right? I have to give it to you. You've stuck with it. And the points you're raising about other people, other firms, Verizon, others having tried many other places. So I see the diligence that you've done, and you've come to this place. But there are other projects that have come before the commission which have been very contentious. There are usually two sides to it. The other side also speaks. In this case, I'm puzzled by the fact that this project has gone on for 4 years, and we don't hear the positives of it except from you. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
You know, there's a reason why this area doesn't have many AT&T customers, because there's no service. You know, so I don't imagine many of them coming here to support me. I don't imagine the people who were noticed are AT&T customers. I wouldn't be. I'm obviously AT&T on my personal phone, and I get 1 bar.
So my response would be, if the residents are happy with what they get.
Let me.
One more. I'll stop here. Thank you, though.
Let me get a word in, and then I'll hand it off to Commissioner Priya. I did a quick check. There are cell phone towers in parks in Cupertino. It's documented. So it's not unprecedented, and in a neighboring city. So we as a city shouldn't be shy to investigate the possibility. I understand the issues of land acquisition and transfer and all the other things that go with it. But let's give Parks and Rec, I'm suggesting we give Parks and Rec a chance to respond before dismissing it completely. Commissioner Priya.
So I'll tell you, I am one of those people who are on AT&T. I was super frustrated yesterday. I picked up the phone and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to act on this application tomorrow. And I'm going to speak through both sides of my tongue. But I did not get a single tower. Xfinity went out, my internet went out, my hotspot didn't pick it up because there was a bar of AT&T, and I was like ready to call them, and they are suggesting, I think it was Xfinity, you could have in your own home a booster unit, so a router plus a booster that picks up additional capabilities, but AT&T does not have service, at least in this region. So I will acknowledge that, and I will also be the first to say, no matter where you go, you're going to get this. So you're pretty familiar. I'm looking at all cities, everywhere a cell tower goes. I wish the city neighbors had a little more intensive awareness of data centers with the same passion that you think you're looking at cell towers. Okay, just FYI. Know that the future, San Francisco City and San Jose has already adopted the 5G network. It is going to happen. We can all put our hands to the sun and think the sun does not exist. Okay, that's not the world, the way the reality is. No matter where you go, you're absolutely right. There's going to be a house there, there's going to be a neighbor there, there's going to be somebody saying the health reasons, and I will say, yes, we all heard the health as being one of the priorities. We've said it again and again to all those listening as well. Health is not something that this commission can take a deliberation upon. That is for FCC. There is studies galore. You can take it as a lobbying effort, go for it. But this commission is very limited in its ability to look at what we have. Between us today, and I do give credit, thank you so much, Steve, for all your hard work, and I do give credit to the patience of the neighbors.
Absolutely.
But no matter where you go, you're going to get a similar crowd following you wherever you go.
They're the kindest opposition I've ever had.
Okay.
Okay, so.
So we are in a moment where we have an applicant who has very limited options, of course, with the rebuttal or whatever has happened with the parks. But that also requires a lot more city level of a master plan that looks at cell tower coverage for the city of Santa Clara to put a basic framework around how these towers can approach. We're going to have this kind of a situation no matter who comes through the door. So we're not really addressing the root cause of the need for the city to look at 5G network that's coming up. We're talking about data centers galore, and here yet we don't have a plan for just cell tower coverage within the city. So We have a lack of communication with schools. We have a lack of communication with parks. We have a challenge no matter which house you pick, no matter which church you pick, no matter which retail complex you pick. There's going to be someone around all the time. So feel like this conversation is just going to get kicked down versus being redressed. So he can get a continuance. We are going to hear this again for the fifth time, fourth time, whatever time we are coming back to us. I just want to us all to acknowledge, okay, we are here with very limited choices of what we can please.
That's right.
But I already brought this up last time.
Yeah.
And the time before. I said we have to have a master plan, but I also thought tonight, look,
Yeah.
I can't put that onus on you because you're
Right.
trying to do the right thing based on the rules and stuff you got set up.
Exactly.
You can't
But
put
I
the
do
onus on the
want a study group on this, and I don't want it, a year later, like when I asked for the data center stuff, we've been very slow with that, and I'm not going to blame anybody about that, but we got to get that done as well. But bottom line,
Here we have.
here we have the immediate thing, and we need to go ahead and do what we're suggesting, which is very simply, let's do at least what the city should do and check with Parks and Recreation and get that, knock on those doors and get it done. But at the same time, I would love to have your input at some point about a master plan, because I don't want to see everybody coming here for each one, because I had Verizon. Verizon's one bar. T-Mobile, one bar. Well, guess what? They're all co-located at the same place, and no one was going to tell me that. And to buy a booster, a good booster is anywhere between $200 and $800. And when you have a booster, what that means for everybody out there,
It's in your
I
house.
have my own little wireless pointing across your house to somebody else's antenna. And if everybody did that, it's, again, if you're concerned about wireless and things like that,
You're just bouncing off each
you're
other.
bouncing off each other anyway. We need this, so.
So let me finish my comment.
Well,
I still
hold on.
have the floor.
Okay.
Thank you, Rick.
Be that way.
You just took it. But thank you for the partnership. But I want to just emphasize that in the current application where we have, one, a timeline, we have two options that we have between a monetary and something that's visually less appealing and a need for a decision-making that needs to happen within a certain time frame. I don't think we have much time to
Yeah, we
put
don't.
this off. Like, we got to call the shots at some point.
So what I hear you saying in a way says, you ready to make a motion on this, to make a.
After
on
Commissioner
this?
Huang.
I just wanted to make one small comment. It's not just the residents in the area that would complain that they don't have the bars. It's also anybody who works in that area, who's driving through that area.
Schools.
That's right. So it's beyond just that.
Yeah, Chair, may I speak?
Okay, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, actually, one quick question. So the mono tree or whatever wireless station, do you have this kind of station in other cities park? Any?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
In the park, in cities park.
Have you done this in other parks?
In other parks.
Yeah, there's lots of parks. I actually
Have you done it?
I have a site currently in Livermore at Max Sparrow Park, and they are the home of the World Little League Series, so they get lots of attention every year. There's currently a Verizon antenna at that field located behind home base, and AT&T is looking to go on another light in the back of the field. It's going to match it perfectly.
Wow, thank you.
Parks are one of the first places we go to automatically. Believe me, the last thing we want to do is go, cause up commotion here. Who wants to do that? So yes, going on parks is very common. Going on light pole standards at schools is very common. It's such an unfortunate matter that we cannot go across the street to Santa Clara High School, where I imagine a lot of the service is used because of these students. And they have gorgeous tall light fixtures that we could put it on top to, but they unfortunately don't allow telecom service.
That's the state.
Okay, yeah. So second question. Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate your effort to, find the right location. May I? Yeah, probably. Yeah, we also talked about we try to contact our city. May I suggest when you try to contact, let's say, city or other facilities, is there any neighbor you guys volunteer to help? Actually, me, yeah, I'm here to serve the community. I'm volunteering. If you need my help to knock on the door, yeah, I can do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
One last comment, brief?
very briefly.
Well, no, I think it's very important. When we talk about doing a study group and such like that, we're talking about building, large, high-density apartment complexes and stuff like that. And if we do not support that with fire, water, and cellular, we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Thank you, that's it.
No, I consider cellular part of our infrastructure plan. If we're going to infrastructure power for data centers and water and sewage and all the other aspects that make the city function, then cell has to be considered as part of that plan too. Okay, so but rather than close public hearing, I'm hearing that if you wish to request a continuance to
One last time with the understanding of pushing out your
telco?
Is
that at the telco?
No, it's the date that God, I haven't got this.
Mr. Chair, may I jump in?
Yes, please.
Mr. Prue, are you familiar with the shot clock tolling agreement between New Singular Wireless PCS and the City of Santa Clara, currently set to expire on January 15th, 2025?
Yes.
Yes, we're.
Are you in agreement to extend that tolling agreement to February 15th, 2025?
At this point, I want to say let's make it June, but yes, we are.
You're amenable to that
We
extension?
are willing to extend it.
Then in that case, if they continue it, I will send you a tolling agreement and you will.
Do I
have the
hear a
appropriate person
motion to
executed.
continue to allow this opportunity?
Move to continue.
Second,
Commissioner Crutchlow moved and seconded by Commissioner Priya.
to date certain.
Yes,
January 15th.
January 15th.
Make it
But
last.
our meeting, January 15th.
Yes.
Is shot clock, February.
February 15th, that gives you time to act and time for an appeal to the city council before the shot clock expires.
Thank you very much for being so considerate.
Thank you so much. No, absolutely.
Everybody.
I know every single rep is different. I hope to be your favorite telecom rep. Like
At this point, we're
more than
gonna
my
be
family,
friends.
you know?
You keep working with the residents, you're our favorite, okay?
I apologize that you're the balloon in the maelstrom.
Okay.
But you are starting quite a wave of change and concern that's going to.
It sounds like it's making a positive difference.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
We hope so.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, the motion is on the floor. You said it, Crutchlow made the motion. It was seconded by Commissioner Cherukuru to continue this item to January 15th, 2025 PC meeting. Go ahead and cast your vote.
You mean February?
I heard January.
January 15th.
January.
2025.
Yes, correct.
Do you see my vote this time?
I do, yes. Thank you very much, and the motion passed. Thank you.
I just want to also acknowledge, thank you, neighbors. I heard also several of you have not received notification. Please give your names before you leave. City staff, I think there's been a theme on the Pomeroy Green not receiving notification, and I'm not sure if it because it goes to the landlord only tenants, however your distinction, but whoever is here, please do be a messenger of sorts. Do others, I know there were a few. If you are not on the mailing list, please get yourself today.
Chair, if I may, based on what we heard from the last time, we did expand the noticing radius and included all of Pomeroy Green.
Okay.
So if they didn't receive a notice, do please let me know, because I do have every address.
Okay, I also want to caution, there will not be another notification, or may not be, because this is to date certain. So there will not be another mail, like you won't receive something in your mailbox, because it has been announced that it is to a date certain, meaning it's your responsibility to follow through. We will hold the hearing, January 15th.
It's a technicality I did want to mention
Yes.
that
Yeah.
our,
Yeah, I highly recommend you guys contact the AT&T rep right now.
you will not receive a formal notification.
Yeah, who is going to volunteer?
Because we are not closing the hearing, we're continuing it. All right? So we've moved on. Thank you all for coming on this issue. We're hearing you. I want you to realize that. We hear you. okay? And the applicant as well. It's got to be everybody. You're not going to get everybody happy, but we're going to do our best.
Just a point of information, I live in Pomeroy Green, I didn't get the notice. What am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to contact? The city
Give it
clerk?
your address or to
Okay.
Leslie.
Yeah, yeah.
Elizabeth, you want to, Elizabeth?
Okay.
I will say we do have a mailing list
We need to move on.
for they were on the list.
All right, so we're up to, wow, that was it.
Yeah, we're done.
We're not quite done. We need reports of commission, liaison, and committee announcements of other items. It's Leslie, but. Yeah, that will take about a minute.
I also want to encourage the public to sign up via e-notify if you would like to be notified when these agendas are posted with the item on it. So you will be notified. This is a great way to do it. Chair, should we take a quick break and pause the meeting? You,
We're taking a few minute break for the addresses to be transferred. Thank you. What is
Thank
it?
you, guys.
You don't have to go home, but you
Seriously.
can't stay here.
Thank you.
No, you can do what you want.
Not listening to you, I was helping you. It was through the chair.
Yeah, thank you. All right,
Okay.
let's do board liaisons and committee announcements.
Board announcements.
You're up again.
Apologies, I thought I was just getting one address.
It's okay.
Are we on upcoming agenda items?
We're
we're
on
on
announcements
reports.
and other items.
Reports of commission liaison.
Oh, great, go ahead. I do not have any announcements. I'll speak under city council actions.
Travel and training?
Sure. I want to let everyone know I did send an email out to you today. The upcoming Planning Commissioners Academy is March 5th through the 7th. It's in Santa Rosa. So it would be a good time to look at your calendars. The cost, I put it in the email. Registration is $675. We have our budget coming up, but I can tell you right now, your remaining balance is $14,436. So approximate cost, I put it in the email. Per commissioner, I think was $700 to $800. I don't recall. You'd have to look at the email. So what we could do, if you like, because registration is open, if you want to take a poll right now, if you know definitively you want to attend, and if you want to approve it, we can get the registration going and do a retroactive vote.
What was the name of the conference again?
This is the Planning Commissioners Academy through the League of California Cities. We typically have always had a commissioner go to this training. So
What's the dates on it?
is March 5th through the 7th. Recently, we did have a commissioner go to a conference and the hotels were sold out, so now truly is the time to do it.
I could fly back and forth. No, seriously, that's what I'll do. 20 minutes, I'm there.
Really? Well,
Which city again?
Santa Rosa.
Santa Rosa.
You can't charge gas for your airplane.
Damn right I am. You're gonna pay for a hotel.
You can charge mileage.
I'm interested.
Yeah, I'm interested as well. What's the actual distance to the conference in miles? Does anybody know
Oh, don't know.
roughly?
An hour and a
I
half.
think you can get a hotel.
Over 50,
Yeah, it's a few hours away.
You should get a hotel night.
miles to Santa Rosa.
Yeah, you should get a night there.
It's a hotel
Oh, yeah,
stay.
yeah, it's a good 2 hours
Way up there
away.
north, up 101.
I'd be there in like an hour.
No, not an hour.
Never go, nobody makes it
Well,
in.
if you're going in his flight.
If you're going in this plane, yeah.
All right. I'm just saying it's I think the hotel might be optional, but
Trust me, it is not optional.
right.
Okay, I move
distance
that
is-
we consider two planning commissioners as potential attendees with hotel for it,
are there any other
and
interest?
registration
There's
costs.
three.
Three of us.
Potential for three,
We can't do more, that's a
Four?
Brown Act problem, no?
yes.
Is that true?
Is that true? Would that be a Brown Act problem?
You'll have to notice.
Well, it would actually be four that's a quorum, but
Yeah.
in fact, there is an exception under the Brown Act that allows you to attend conferences as long as you promise not to huddle in the back of the room and have a secret meeting. But yeah, four of you can attend a conference, and it doesn't violate the Brown Act, we don't have to notice it.
You can't fly on his plane just in case.
So,
I
no,
wouldn't
wanna
recommend that
get there
anyway.
alive.
Do you need a not to exceed amount?
Do you need that?
I don't think we do because I don't have the amount.
Okay, so should we just say, receive early approval from commission for consideration of up to four planning commissioners to attend the upcoming academy?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and take a vote, and then we will
Second.
do a retro vote, because it's not on the agenda. So should we even take a vote, or just do a poll and say,
Unless you do a motion for a show of interest, I don't know.
yeah, I should,
Chair, if I may, I have your email, Elizabeth?
yeah, thank you.
So, yeah, the registration is $675. Hotels are probably around $600. Incidentals, parking, et cetera, $60. So $1335 approximately per person.
Per person.
Get reimbursed then for fuel?
For your automobile,
Back and forth.
for your car?
No, for my airplane.
For his airplane.
I'll have to look into that. I think that's the first time anyone's ever requested that.
It'll be a lot less than a hotel.
Yeah.
Well, we can make I can find out for sure. Yeah, I'll find out.
No parking.
talking about
Well, there is kind of parking.
That's an interesting edge case, but you need to go, so
Mm-hmm.
let's.
Again, city attorney, should I just verbally will accept this? We don't take a vote?
They can, I mean, this is, all falls under budget, so I'm really not concerned about Brown Act concerns. I think they can go ahead and vote on this, and we can memorialize it at the next
Oh,
meeting.
okay,
but yeah,
okay.
they
I thought
can
because
go
it wasn't on the agenda, we couldn't do it. Okay,
no.
Commissioner Cherukuru made the motion. Who seconded it?
Me.
Me, okay. Commissioner Wang.
Somebody called me.
And the motion is to expend funds for up to 4 commissioners to attend the Planning Commissioners Academy. So go ahead and cast your vote, please.
Minutes left.
Yes.
Commissioner Wang, would you like me to cast your vote for you?
I think
Thank you. Okay, the motion passed, and I think what we need to do now is, would you please send me I don't know, do we know right now the 4 commissioners? Is anyone committing right now?
I'm
Chair Salam? Commissioner Biagini?
Priya?
Yeah.
Commissioner Buza?
Now,
So I'd like to go, but I have a trip planned March the 8th to depart. So it's cutting too close, and I'm uncomfortable. Is there a maybe?
Yeah, sure.
I said up to. So you're one of.
Yeah, up to. So as of right now, I will go ahead and process the registration for Commissioners Biagini, Salam, and Buza. Okay?
I think that constitutes our budget updates, so.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, cool.
Agenda items, upcoming agenda items.
Leslie, you.
Continuance.
Upcoming agenda items, you'll have the continued item from
We have
this
2 continuances.
evening, as well as, 2 continued items from this evening, so for your January meeting.
And we probably will have that outreach policy.
I hope so.
I mean, there's a draft, but as you know, a new director just began, so we were waiting until she started so she could have some input on it. So we hope to get that to you soon. And it is a new year, so I'm going to need to update you on
Yes,
legislation.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Ooh, I love that.
And do we also get our ethics training?
We can certainly provide you with a
No, it's
2-hour
part of the certification process, don't we have? The
The AB 1234?
AB 1234, every 2 years, you're required to do a 2-hour ethics training. There are a variety of ways you can get that. There's a lot of free 2-hour videos online, but I've personally given that presentation many times. The city attorney has as well. If you'd like it in person, you're welcome to have it, but you're going to have to listen to me talk about all the legislation at the next meeting. So I don't know if you want to also hear me talk about 2 hours of ethics. How about I get you a link and you can
No, we
watch
were
it
just
with your
making
feet
sure, the study versus being here, it's the certification component of it. If we listen to you, do we get the certification or do we have to still do the video? I'd rather just get whatever is necessary for the certification.
Oh, yeah, you can just watch the video. You'll get, yeah, there's no need to do it in person as much as I enjoy spending time with you.
Hold on, man. Can I make a request, please?
Please go ahead.
So when you do the new legislation, would you mind reviewing AB 2097?
Yeah.
And specifically, I felt that the third exemption in there was definitely very germane to the Kiley project. And I definitely have some questions about that again, if we go down the road, and maybe we can kind of review that as part of that discussion. And what I can do is I can send you some of my notes, at least, on my thoughts about, where I had questions regarding it and why I felt it should have been more germane as part of that presentation.
Great, yes. I'd encourage you all to send questions in advance. The chair likes to surprise me and stump me. That doesn't mean it's a requirement. So,
I'll have a few.
yeah, I heard your comments on AB 2097 when it went to council, and yeah, the third exemption is something to think about. That was a project where we had them saying they were probably going to provide X thousand parking spaces, but didn't commit to it. So it opens a lot of questions.
Yeah, I think mine was specifically when looking at the numbers, the amount of people actually trying to go get mass transit would, if they even did that, would have impacted the mass transit so much, the exemptions would have come into play. But like I said before, I'll go ahead and email.
Through the chair, just of interest for this commission, or maybe it's just mine, I would like city staff to educate us on the ordinance or policies related to, how do I say this? The food trucks?
Oh, what, mobile food vendors? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I see them everywhere now, and they're on streets, parking lots, taking over park. I just want to know what their process is to get approvals, reviews, permits, and the process by which the residents know of the health benefits or hazards, but also the impact to the parking. Yeah.
My main concern is the businesses are paying business licenses, they're paying rent, they're paying utilities, and, you know, there is a competition, and they don't have to worry about any other things, and they still have to go through the health inspections and so on, and city inspections.
But
So
I know
it's not
that's all
fair to the other
state.
businesses.
Yeah, that's all the state. You get a food license, but I'm not sure how they get permits from the city
to do what they're
to do like a use on the tray, because one, they're mobile, but I know city ordinances are there. I'm not familiar with ours.
Right. And you're talking, I'm assuming specifically about food trucks on private property, not ones that pull up in the street and
And I see one that is just on the corner of the street here, and I'm like, with, with actually the yellow cones, and I'm like, well, that's actually the turnaround and the bicycle path.
Well, I also see them on commercial property,
That's
for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
my question is going to be,
Camino and San Tomas.
how is that germane to planning commission?
Aren't they regulated use?
They are. So with our updated zoning code, we do have a mobile food vending section now. We didn't have a lot of regulations previously, but we do now. So I can do a little presentation for you about what those regulations now are.
Very helpful.
I can tell you that our code enforcement staff has started a targeted enforcement of food trucks on El Camino. So they've started with education, handing out flyers to each of the food truck vendors, making them aware of our new ordinance. And how to come into compliance. So, yeah, I can do that. I don't know, do you want to?
I mean, no
I can do a
timeline,
quick-
but but I just
could do
saw
it at the
them
next meeting.
so many places, just popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
And Leslie, isn't that information on our website in terms of permitting
yes,
what's
we do.
required in case anyone wanted to look
Sure,
at
yeah.
it?
If you go to our application section of our website, there is a drop-down for mobile food vending, and you can see the application requirements and what the standards are if you like, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Or read our zoning code.
Chair, I wanted to bring something to the notice of the commission here. I read a report on the last council meeting approvals, and I noticed that there has been an approval for a 5% increase of the electricity rates to Santa Clara residents by the council last time. And the report noted, and I have not verified the numbers, that something in the range of 90% of the consumption of electricity in Santa Clara is commercial. Higher than 90. Higher. 95, right? And this we said, I think I used those words here in this commission, that these sinks of power in data center usage, the capacity is being built out on the backs of the Santa Clara residents. Thank you. And here it is, right?
Our mayor denied specifically that issue. That's why we're hoping our study session can resolve the concern on that. Anyway, that actually leads us to the next step, which is city council actions, which we may have some comments on. So,
Sure. So at the council meeting on Tuesday, the council did approve the data center at 1231 Comstock. The commission did recommend denial at a 4-3 vote of that project. The council did approve it with one dissenting vote and one that had to recuse. It was Councilmember Park. And Councilmember Shahal had to recuse.
Thank you, Kevin.
So along that issue, if you could pass this along, please, that if any city council member feels that they are confused by or did not understand the commission's decision process, feel free to reach out and ask us why, rather than perhaps objecting to not being able to understand it publicly, because no time have I ever been contacted by our mayor or anyone else on the commission, on the council, that felt they did not understand what we were doing. But I have heard it repeatedly stated publicly that they didn't understand. It's a credibility issue, but it's also a courtesy issue, that they're able to communicate directly with us, and therefore we are available to answer whatever questions they have.
Yeah, and I think that was also brought up when we had our dinner with them, that better communications is requested.
We did get a commitment from the city manager to pursue more vigorously our study session as possibly a joint effort. I did speak during the council meeting. I tried to speak specifically to the data center as an opportunity for us to understand better what the future plans are for Santa Clara, and that there may not have been overwhelming objection to the data center, but there is an objection to a lack of direction. So planning.
Kept on talking about having a study for data centers. It's like,
I agree with what the chair said, but my concern is I wanted to have it televised so the citizens can all
Oh, yeah. It'll be a study session.
view this and give us some questions and feedback, because a lot of the citizens in our city really don't understand what's going on with those data centers. And they come up to you and says, "What's that?" And then when you tell them, you explain it to them, they're frightened. They go, "Are you kidding? How can they allow that?" So many of them, and how come our rates are going up? What are we doing? Yeah, there's a lot of things that the citizens don't know that they should be made aware of. And I think it's up to the council to be the number one priority for them to do that.
And the discussion about the nuclear SMR stuff, I mean, it was so taken out of context.
Yeah, it was.
So I do believe that I would be more than happy to have better communications, and I think we all here agree that we would love to talk to the city council, and be more transparent with, the rationales of the things we came up with at any time.
And I also want to just highlight, I am very acutely aware of how empty, vacated other city data centers are.
Yeah,
There's a
Because
movement.
they're all here for the lower electricity costs.
Really?
Yeah, there's a migration.
The guy to admit that.
Okay.
Forgot me.
Yeah. Okay, so rather than get into it at this point, thank you for passing this along.
I do have one other item I would like to mention. So, as we move towards getting a study session, thank you, Chair Salim, for providing me your questions and thoughts on the data centers. And I would very much appreciate other commissioners sending me their thoughts and questions to help us better prepare for the conversation.
Yeah, because one of the things that really interests me is with this advent of AI, cost and requirements for energy could skyrocket. So how does that fit into the whole picture?
Well, I'd like to actually do a little bit of a presentation about what's going on in that industry, since I'm so close to it, because some of the things that are coming out are very interesting, and the direction might surprise you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Time to go home.
To know more about it.
Yeah, and then if I wanted to ask for a study session about the cellular stuff, what's the process for doing that?
I think you have an opportunity at this point to request such a session.
Can I request a study session on cellular towers?
Cellular towers.
Yep, so basically the idea of we should be master planning these cellular towers, especially with all the major vendors, so that we don't have to go through one by one, each vendor, and that the city comes up with a way to say, hey, here's our master plan, here's where we're going to put them. So if you want to argue about it now, let's do it all at one time, because doing these one by one it's going to, I think, just it's going to be consuming too much time and not very efficient. We can definitely do this in a much better way, but master planning, I think, is going to be the key.
Another succinct way of putting it is we're in a death by 1,000 paper cuts. And it's time not to get that.
Agreed.
And I just sent a text on that very issue that I'd like to see it just like how you described. Because I think there's a lot to be learned for a study session on, besides the energy and the rest, but on data centers and on cell towers. So, Elizabeth, you can send my text right over to.
Okay.
All right,
And
so
then
I believe
there's
that-
one more item that the Assistant City Attorney kindly reminded me of, and I've already forgotten. The council did also approve the Kylie project Mission Point on November 19th.
Which version was it?
Option B, so as the commission recommended.
Now this has to go to the architectural?
So it would come forward as they propose buildings. It would go to our development review hearing for architecture, yes. But at this time, we have no applications on file.
And if somebody, is that an open meeting, a public
It
meeting?
is, yes, it's a public meeting,
And
yes.
If one wants to attend that, just go look on the website and see when the next meeting is? Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
I encourage you to sign up for e-notify, and then you'll just get it automatically if you sign up for notification on these
You embarrass me in
meetings.
front of everybody about not signing up. I'm signed up. But yes,
It's
thank
actually
you for
pretty
reminding me,
helpful.
Elizabeth.
But as with any residential project, the review is limited to objective criteria for the residential component. The commercial components, there's more flexibility. So it's always a bit of a challenging hearing when there's very little you can do, but those decisions are also appealable to city council.
But this will be the place where they go and said, this is how we're going to construct it. This is, okay. Thank you.
Okay, so that brings us to the end, I assume, or is there one more thing?
That was it.
Okay, cool.
There was a tentative map that was also approved, but.
Yay. Yes, happy holidays.
Yeah, happy
Merry
holidays.
Christmas, happy Hanukkah, anything that applies.
Forgive me.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Aye.
By consent, thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All done.
Yeah, happy holidays.
Yes.